Okay, welcome to the Purpose Filled Life podcast. I am your guest host, Ashley Stratton, and this mini series that I'm hosting is all about mothers who are pursuing a passion while still trying to put the most important things first. And today I am so excited because our guest today is Melinda Frandsen. She is the owner and creator of the unique travel bag, Tobiq, and I hope I said that right.
Great.
And she is a mother of four. And Melinda has been so successful, and she's also been through some really hard things. And we are going to talk about both sides of the coin today. So I have your official bio here, but I always think that it's so much more fun to hear from the guests themselves. So, Melinda, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself, your family, and your business?
I love it. I'll start with myself, I guess. I've got 4 kids. I married the guy that was my first kiss. We met in high school. And I also created like 5 or 6 volumes of boy hater CDs in his honor. and I still sometimes, in motherhood, I have to dig deep and really like bring out those girl power anthems in life a lot, not directed at him anymore, but yeah, he's like my rock. I'm grateful for him and our 4 kids. We have a crazy life. We're into a lot of different things. I graduated from BYU, Hawaii in a long time ago. I'm not going to tell you years. A long
Okay.
time ago.
We can forget
And
that.
then I did a master's degree in public administration at the U. And then my biggest life mission was helping my husband get through medical school. And, I had lots of odd end jobs and lots of passions. And I loved running with the double jogger. I look back on those years with my young kids, and it's a grind. It really is a grind. But I always kind of kept sight of what things I was passionate about. And as soon as we got a job, we live in Grand Junction, Colorado, I was able to tap into some of those ideas and really put my time and interest into them. And so that's where my entrepreneurial adventure began. And here we are. I think it's been about 4 or 5 years since I started the company. So
Wow. I remember when you first started your company, and I was going to say like 2 years ago. That has gone by so fast. 4 or 5 years. Oh my gosh. That has flown by.
I think, if you're only judging by social media and what you see out there, that's really what you see is, 2 years ago we started selling, but it takes a long time. And I think that's a huge lesson that I've learned is that it's a long game. Anything that you're really passionate about, that you believe in, it's going to take time for it to bloom. And I'm grateful that I'm in a place right now where I'm like, I can look back and be like, oh my gosh, that was 4 years ago. That was 5 years ago when I came up with the idea. But to see where we are now after, a lot of the grind is really awesome. And we have a long way to go. So,
Right. So tell us about your company, because a lot of listeners that are listening are like, what was the idea? What took so long to create it? Why did it take long? And so tell us all about your company, from how it started and where you're at now.
Okay.
And what it is that you do.
Yeah, I designed and I patent a family travel bag. So the idea is one bag that can fit multiple people's items, or that can organize all my items according to day or to activity. And so it's a duffel bag with 4 separate individual compartments on top.
Wow.
And inside of the compartments, we designed little bungees and zippers to help organize all the tiny things so that I can simplify the load that I carry with my family. So that, I'm not carrying 4 different bags plus all their athletic gear or all their musical instruments. I can just have one bag with all of their, clothes and essentials. And if I have that, then that's all I need as far as their essentials go. Anything else that comes on top of it, at least I know where to find their underwear, at least I know where to find that. The idea came from like a lot of catastrophic adventures that we had to go on during medical school, and a lot during residency. We camped. That, like, that was all we had money for, but I could not sit still. I had to get out with my family and explore the world because that's what brings me joy. And so we would go, we got a little pop-up trailer that was from like 1995, and we took it out around Utah because we were in Salt Lake, and we'd never really invested time in exploring all the incredible outdoor places there are in Utah. It's a wealth of outdoor attractions. So we took our family, and I ended up crying probably by the second night, because I was nursing babies, and camping with kids is so hard, and I couldn't find the crap. Like, I couldn't find the essentials, the binkies, the diapers, the wipes. It would all become a bomb inside of the tent trailer. So I started packaging it in Ziploc bags or in little grocery sacks, and that didn't work. And I tried packing cubes, and I just felt like there should be something that could keep track of everything, like a little set of like a little dresser that I could take with me, and everything's easily accessible, and I know where know where to find it when I need it. So
Yes. So it's
anyway,
basically a dream bag for moms that are traveling or adventuring with their families.
it is so helpful for me. Maybe it's not for everyone, but honestly, I also think it's for everyone. It is a really great tool if you have multiple people and multiple things to keep track of
Yes.
on the road.
Well, you know what I just thought of too? When you said the Ziploc bags, when my husband and I had traveled out of town and we've left my kids with my mom, I will put my kids' stuff in Ziploc bags and label whose it is,
Yeah,
because the sizes just kind of all blend together. And it's like, okay, whose pants are these? Whatever,
exactly.
But if you had the travel bag, you could say everybody has their own compartment. And you
Exactly.
even have color coded zippers, right? That
Mhm.
go on the compartments. So you could say,
Yes,
okay, you could leave a little note to your mom. Mom, Scarlett is in the red zipper
exactly.
compartment.
Exactly. And next spring, we'll be launching our color block bag. So it's got
Oh my gosh.
got blue and yellow and rust and anyway, so that it helps you can just visually see yeah, exactly. Vera's in the yellow, David's in the orange, plus it's fun. It's a really exciting bag, and it's taken a long time to get to where we're at, but
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
kind of cool because there really is nothing else out there that's like this bag.
Well,
It's
that's
really
why
so
I went
unique.
looking. I went looking. I was honestly ready to buy it. The idea came to me. I was like, yeah, there's got to be something. So I just scoured the internet, and I could find some sports bags or gym bags with compartments, but not anything like that. Like, not the concept that helps me just focus on essentials for my kids. And so I
Right.
drew it up, and that's kind of when the journey began.
Wow. And even when you look at the bag, I hope people can imagine this. It's very symmetrical. Like, you almost just have peace looking at it because it has your exact four compartments on top. And as a mom, you can already visualize what is going right inside those four separate compartments. They're all the same size across the top. It's just a beautiful bag. You
Thank
can tell a
you.
mother has designed it because
You're so
we all
sweet. Thank
know we
you.
need that.
We
Yeah,
need more moms in
we
the
do.
design space, right?
Right.
I really have seen the value of experience in creating what we've developed, because if we don't have people who have experience with a product that we need, you're not going to have that product. So I think everybody's got something inside of them. If you have an idea, if you feel like that should be out there, go for it, get on
Yes,
it.
I
It's
love it.
you're going to do
Yes.
it.
Well, a lot of moms that are listening to this too might have an idea or something that they want to do or pursue, but mom life is so crazy and busy. So, how do you find the time to balance your mom life and your business life? Could you take us through like a typical work week for you? What does that look like? Do you have routines where you're like, I send my kids off to school and then I do this, or
Yeah.
is it just wild? And what kind of
So
routines do you have?
if you remember, back in the day when I started this company, my youngest was 1. So your routines almost have to revolve around nap schedules, and feeding schedules. But I committed to spend time every day, even if it was just an hour. And maybe that's why it took my company so long to get to where it's at, because honestly, I didn't have a ton of personal creative time, but I was consistent with it. So I told myself, like, nap time, that is the sacred space, that I'm not going to pay attention to the dishes. It's not going to be the laundry. It's not going to be the things that I can juggle when my kids are awake. It's going to be me drawing. It's going to be me calling, me contacting new people in the industry, following up on different emails. It's going to be that sacred creative time
Yes.
because you have to
Mhm.
make it.
Yep.
It's not going, you're not going to find it. You know,
Yeah.
oftentimes we're like, I got to find time for that. But I had to learn, and it was hard, that I had to create those moments for me to pursue something that I believed in.
Yeah.
So
I also love that you said that you realized it was going, maybe that's why it took me time, because you only had small amounts of time to work with.
yeah,
And I think that's one thing that a lot of mothers miss out on, is that they're not okay with being in it for the long haul. Like they want to see results really fast and they get burnt out or really defeated
oh,
when those results don't come fast.
and I totally get that. Honestly, I love writing, and I have started so many dang books. Ashley, I can't even tell you. Like, I have, and I think someday my time will come. My season for that will come. But I was defeated very quickly with a lot of the books that I began, because the time of life I was in, for me at least, didn't mesh well with my ability to write a novel, you know?
Right.
So I did shift gears in a big way when I chose to pursue this idea, because I knew I was going to, like, put that passion a little to the side, but also I've had to integrate some writing skills into what I do in my marketing and my advertising, communicating, and so it's a different version of my passion for writing, but one that was more accessible
Right.
given the time of life I was in.
Right.
So
Well, I'd love to switch gears just a tiny bit. And I mentioned to the listeners in the beginning that you have been through some hard things while you've been pursuing this business. And
yeah.
so I asked you before the show if you felt comfortable sharing this story, and you gave me the green light. So, your husband suffered a major heart attack. Just how many years ago was it? Was it 2 years ago or a year
It was
ago?
a year and a half.
A year and a
Yeah,
half. Oh my
a year and a
gosh.
half ago.
Would
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about that and what that has been like in your family and what the recovery has looked like? And tell us too, your husband is so healthy. He mountain bikes like all the time and he's very physically fit. So this was just a total curveball for you. If you could speak to that story for a minute, we would love that.
Yeah. Do you want to know, like, how it happened from the beginning?
Yes, tell us how it
Okay.
happened.
Oh man. So I came home late from Utah um because it was my daughter's birthday the next day. I just felt like I wanted to be home. And it was about 10:30 at night. I came home. We got the kids in bed. He and I were decorating, putting up streamers. And he was telling me about how he got a PR on his favorite trail. That's like when your personal record, like you did it the fastest you have ever done it. And
Yeah.
he's telling me all about his amazing bike ride that night. And we're just putting up streamers. And then it was about time to go down. I'm like, I want to unload the car. I had a bunch of rugs that I had like claimed from KSL in Utah. Like, please just help me. And so it was midnight, when we were like moving furniture and rolling out rugs. And it came on suddenly. He grabbed his chest. He said, "Oh God," and then he fell. And it was like we were tired. I knew he was tired, but there were really no signs leading up to that moment. And I don't know how to explain my clarity of thought other than God was there too. I
Right.
was able to get my phone, dial 911, and immediately begin chest compressions as emergency personnel were arriving. I did compressions for about 13 minutes until officers were there and they took over, and then paramedics came and they shocked him. He was an AFib. He had a blood clot that found its way into the LAD, which is the major artery in your heart. And they call it the widowmaker. It doesn't end well most of the time. And he headed to the hospital. I followed. They put him in a hypothermic coma for 3 days, and we had no idea what his brain function would be, what anything would look like, and if he would wake up. So time like suspended itself for a long time. It felt like there was this little bubble in my life where I was just holding my breath and holding my people, and also just feeling held by my people and by my heavenly parents. Um, so he woke up after they raised his body temperature from like 90 degrees gradually to 98. He woke up and was extremely confused and still talking about his bike ride that he PR'd on. and he said, I had a heart attack. There's no way I had a heart attack. I just PR'd horse thief. There's no way I had a heart attack. And he'd repeat the same phrases over and over again. And it was not a good thing to wake up to, that information for him. Plus he was on all sorts of drugs, but I could not have been happier. I mean, we have since then had to go through a lot of like post-traumatic therapy, and that I'm also super thankful for, just being able to reprocess those moments in healthy ways and kind of speak to my fears and my doubts, and reframe them with the help of professionals, honestly.
Yes. Mhm.
Because when you go through something traumatic like that, you can often get stuck in your mind, and those fears just are triggered. They come back to you.
Absolutely.
So I'm just grateful for where we're at, honestly, and for the clear second chance that we have.
Yes.
And sometimes I struggle with not knowing why, and wondering why we were given a second chance when others aren't. And I recognize that all the time and feel guilty for it often. But I, with that thought, I also try really hard to just appreciate every single moment that we've been given. So
Mhm. Wow. Wow. I am just so amazed at your story. I got the chills multiple times when you were talking and teary-eyed because I know your family and you have such a wonderful support system. You talked a little bit about being able to work through some of your fears. Can you talk about what it is that you do that so that you can be in a little bit healthier place and being able to move forward with your life? What do you do to walk yourself through those fears when those traumatic memories come up, or what do you do?
I was super triggered by sounds, honestly, for months afterwards. When Johnny went down, he was making the craziest sounds. And then the sounds of the hospital and the sounds of, I mean, just life, honestly. If someone would drop something in a room that I couldn't identify, it's almost like a mother's ears, like,
Yes.
when things are off, like, oh, what is that? And I'd run to the other room just to see if someone needed CPR, which is like, and my kids would look at me like, it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, it'll be okay. I think, how did I work through that? Honestly, with therapy.
Yeah.
And if you don't have access to a therapist, with a journal, finding a space for me to write, like, because that's something I love doing, and it helps me reprocess those thoughts. And when I was triggered, it really helped me to recognize, like, when that happened, when that trauma did occur, the choice that I made was to act. The choice that I made was to respond. I didn't freeze. Like, you tell yourself the positive things that you did
Yes.
do that helped your outcome be what it is. Um, and so you find those positive things and help your brain kind of like work through those traumas, until eventually, like, I can accept that there are sounds in my house that I'm not going to identify, and it's okay. Someone's not dying. It's going to be fine. But also with God,
Mhm.
there in journals, I I write the sacred feelings that I had that surrounded that experience, that there are so many things you can't explain. Um, and that's where God comes in for me. I think I see that my heavenly Father and my heavenly Mother were very clearly surrounding me through that experience, and my family. And that's where I go when I can't explain, or when I find a space where I'm confused about why did we get a second chance and someone else didn't. I go to God and I ask why.
Right.
What am I to do now? What do you want me to do? How do I move forward in my life? And usually it's simple answers like, love those people, love them, appreciate them, don't get stuck in the small stuff that stresses me out. Just love those people. So
Yes, I love that. So, some of the listeners, I'm sure, have also gone through hard things while they're pursuing a goal or having a family or a business. And I think you, of all people, can speak to this question. But what advice would you give to someone who is going through a current challenge and they want to continue to move forward in their goals, but they don't know how? What advice would you give to them?
consistency, like believe in what you want to do, like whether it's like fitness goals, or like cooking goals, or business goals, or climbing the ladder at the place where you work. Like, believe in your purpose and don't lose sight of that. um, there will always be things that get in the way of your dreams, like that get in the way of what you believe. And if you can carve out a sacred space every day to give it 15 minutes, give it an hour, like give yourself that for what you believe, and you will thank yourself, years down the road, because it doesn't seem like much can happen in that 15 minutes to an hour if that's all that you have. But it accumulates, and it is that like small marginal gains that really propel you into your dreams.
Yes, I love that. I think that that's a consistent thread that I've realized that you have been so good at as we're talking, is that you were just consistent and you were okay with it being the long haul. I really feel like that's a huge difference between mothers and people who have 8 hours a day to work on their goals and dreams, is that mothers just have to be consistent, like you said, and just find those little sacred spaces to work on their dreams and putting one step forward and being okay with the idea that it might take a little bit longer than someone who has a huge chunk of time to work on it. But you can get there as long as you are consistent, like you said.
Yeah. And I say sacred spaces, and I mean it. Like, I really do mean it. Like, those spaces you create are where you like work through these creative passions that you have. And I really believe that God gives us each these passions or interests or desires, and they are not at all in conflict with family. I think for me, it's actually the exact opposite. Answering the call to be creative in my life has helped me to be a happier mother, for sure. And it has helped my family see that, like, maybe my kids aren't going to be little entrepreneurs, but they'll see me, that I have a passion and I have a dream for something, and they help me pack the bags, and they help me take pictures, and they're a little piece of it, but they can see that it's something that I'm working for. And I want them to recognize those passions within their life, whether it's sports or music or friendshipping. I mean, I think I want them to recognize what gifts they have and what calls they are like moved toward from God, and that it really is from God, and that our heavenly parents want us to answer that every day. So
Yes. Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. Well, I want to wrap up with the last question that I'm asking every single mom on this series. And it is, do you feel like you have been able to put your faith and family first and go after your dreams?
Okay. Yeah, I do. I I think they go together. I
Mm,
I've had to accept that for me, I can't over compartmentalize. I can't like say, this is like, this is when I'm doing this, and that is when I'm doing that. Like, now I'm a mom, now I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I
yeah.
have to accept that it is like part of this beautiful woven tapestry that is a choice I've made and that is a call I've answered from God. And so, yes, sometimes they are in conflict. And when I recognize that, like, ooh, like I can't be answering emails right now, obviously. Like there are obvious moments when I'm not going to do that. But I think there are opportunities to have your family be part of what you're passionate about. And for me, that is, going on a hike and taking a bunch of pictures, and I'll use them for, my marketing, because I want to encourage families to have the courage to get out and to go on adventures and to not, be afraid to follow that call within themselves. Um, so faith and family are absolutely first. And I believe that like my passions are part of my faith.
Yes, I
Not a weird
love that.
answer.
That is beautiful. I love that. I love that you've involved your family so much in your business and your goals and dreams and your adventures, because that's what your business is all about, right? It's creating those memories for your children that can last a lifetime, you
And
know?
honestly, it's been healing in so many ways for Johnny and I post heart attack to work on the business together. Like, he's part of it. He does my tech stuff. He does a lot of the, financial stuff. And so that for us and our relationship is just kind of like another level of growth in our family. It helps us grow together as we work on something we both are interested and passionate about together. So
Oh, I love that you spoke to that. I just listened to like a marriage series, and they talked about how you can come closer together by doing things together. And you
oh,
can
for
deepen
sure.
your relationship on different levels when you work together on something. So I
Yeah.
love that you spoke to that.
For
Well,
sure.
so many people I know can tell what a wonderful human being you are from just listening to this. Where can they connect with you on social media and find one of your amazing bags so they can start their adventures?
Uh, we are on Instagram is where I do primarily communicate with people. That's the easiest place to get a hold of me. It's Tobiq Travel. So Tobiq Travel. That's my handle on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm not as good at answering messages on Facebook consistently, but Instagram, you can easily get a hold of me there. And also, it's where I update people on our sales and on our latest evolutions in the business, and hopefully can find authentic connection. I think I honestly crave that in business. It's what I love so much. And so I love it when people find me there and comment, and I can get to know them. And I'm inspired constantly by the adventurous community and the courageous moms that are on Instagram and find my bag and use it and love it for the things that make them happy.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on today and being vulnerable and open and also sharing all the amazing things that you are working on. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Ashley.